Hi and welcome to SCW, the wrestling channel here on YouTube.com. Thank you for choosing the channel and choosing the video. Please subscribe right now. Leave any comments in the comment section. Please like and share the video as well. We've all heard the news by now that WWE is going to be hosting WrestleMania in the Performance Center, no longer going to be taking place in Tampa. I'm going to give you all the latest news, the rumors, gossip, and my reaction to everything. So it's been a big it's been a big spell in the world right now, and of course it's led to many sports having to cancel, and of course WWE and AEW have continued to put on shows, and they're going to continue to do so while they still can, with no people in attendance. Of course, with WWE, we've seen it with SmackDown and Raw. The decision now has been made that, of course, WrestleMania will go ahead instead of postponement, and it will be at the Performance Center, which, for me, I'm going to be brutally honest for you, I'm not such a big fan of, purely because WrestleMania for me has always meant so much. It's a spectacle, it's a stadium event, it's something that's expected to be the biggest show of the year, and it's going to be in front of nobody. And for me, that's, from the fans' perspective, I think a lot of people, had they been given the opportunity, would love to go and see this show. Now, I do understand right now that is not a possibility, and perhaps by April 5th, that's still not going to be a possibility. But for what the show is, for the amount of money it would cost for fans to go there, for the amount of money WWE could make, I just think it's worth holding out a few months to do WrestleMania. Now, obviously you've got storylines building towards WrestleMania and building towards April 5th. How can you keep those going? I understand that it's a very difficult position WWE is in, and they would like to fulfill the idea of giving entertainment and enjoyment for the fans at home. The question is, though, is how entertaining is these shows so far without an audience? It's clear to see that something is missing. Now, when you look at things from a strength perspective, Triple H on commentary from SmackDown was superb. He brought some light-heartedness to the situation. He was funny. He played many different roles, and he made a character work for that show, by being the cameraman, the commentator, the makeup artist. But you couldn't do that every week and get away with it. He would have to find different ways of being entertaining each and every week, which I know Triple H is more than capable of doing. From a Raw perspective, I mean, Edge's promo, for me, when he was shooting on Orton, was actually probably better without an audience than it would have been with an audience. But when you see things along the lines of Stone Cold Steve Austin, he is designed for an audience. For me, I found that segment particularly to be very awkward. So for me, there's a lot of things here that could feel a bit missing. And when you look at the superstars themselves, these big rivalries, the biggest rivalries of the year, to be performed in front of no one, no reaction, how are we going to feel watching that at home? We've had very short matches and limited action on both SmackDown and Raw this past week. When you look at SmackDown, I think we had 3 matches, if I'm not mistaken, potentially 4, but those matches were not very long. The opener on SmackDown was the longest, which was the tag team match between Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss against the Boston Hug connection of Bayley and Sasha Banks. On Raw this past week, we had 1 match, just 1 in 3 hours, Rey Mysterio and Andrade. And you question to yourself, well, I mean, none of those matches stood out, and it would need a big job from the commentary to make that work. Now, I mean, Triple H kind of made it work on SmackDown because he was entertaining, but you could argue as well that there is potential where it can be distracting. Oscar's commentary on Raw was definitely distracting. As entertaining as I find here at the moment, I did find it distracting from the match itself that I was watching. So there's a lot of variables that come into this, and where it becomes so important to make a really good show. Because if you're going to put on a show, you want it to be a good product, especially when it's WrestleMania. You look at the superstars themselves. Let's look at Drew McIntyre. Biggest moment of his career, winning the Royal Rumble, getting that match with Brock Lesnar, should be the main event in my opinion. Perhaps the biggest moment of his career, especially if he finally becomes the WWE Champion. Now, you look at this and think he's worked his butt off for about, 18, 20 years to get to this position. He could win the belt in front of nobody. That's really going to be a bad morale feel. I mean, the greatest moment of his career in front of nobody. It was supposed to be in front of, 70, 80,000 people? And he's going to get it in front of nobody. For me, I just feel it's worth holding off. And I think it would be great for the superstars to have a rest period, have a break. I mean, imagine if there's a lockdown that goes on now in the Orlando area. I mean, there is lockdowns going on in many different parts of the world. And you look at it and say, it's starting to happen in the US. Now, I can be wrong, but I believe isn't New York and San Francisco now on lockdown? I could be wrong, but it could happen to more places in the United States. It's certainly happening throughout all of Europe anyway, and that's for sure. I can say there's many countries right now on lockdown where they're not even allowed to go outside unless it's an emergency, maybe to get some food from the supermarket, maybe to see a doctor, go to the pharmacy. That's all you've got on option. So for me, right now, You could argue as well that people want the entertainment, but it's not essential to have it right now. Wouldn't it be amazing if WWE could just put some packages together and build up the show for the next 2-3 months and hope that they can put a show in a later date rather than now? From a positive standpoint, and it should be positive as well, we are getting WrestleMania. We're going to get some of the big matches and we're going to get it on a show, and WWE are not going to let us down. They made a promise. It was this date. They're going to give it. So for that, we should really be positive, really, and be thankful that these shows are being put out for us. But at the same time, I just feel that some of these big moments in these superstars' careers, and it would be better if it was with an audience. For example, I mean, if you're going to have 12 to 15 matches at WrestleMania, I now wouldn't book any more that's already booked. I think we have maybe 6 matches that are confirmed, and I believe 1 or 2, perhaps more, could be in the pipeline. I'd stop there. I wouldn't book any more. The heavy machinery, Dolph Ziggler, Mandy Rose, Bobby Roode storyline, it works with people. That storyline doesn't work without people. So I just wouldn't do that. I would just leave that as to have a gap for the minute. I mean, they kind of closed it off at Elimination Chamber. Bring it back when you can bring it back. If you're going to add more matches, the United States Championship seems to be sort of, teased to be on the show. The IC as well, but the women's tag team one is, for me, is been built more over 2 shows now with empty arenas. So for me, I'd say that's a certainty that needs to be added to WrestleMania. But looking at the things from another perspective is, what if lockdown does take place? Now, there has been a rumour that's come out, and all the information, of course, is brought over by WWE, and particularly this rumour, though, has been brought out by the dirt sheets, of course. That's where we read a lot of the wrestling news that we get. And there's a rumour that there could be WrestleMania postponement to MSG in June, on June the 7th. Now, I believe that this is a case in case of lockdown. For me, we don't know how long lockdown would be, and I think that that's why a positive would be to get the show done. As I say, I will go back and forward and add arguments on both sides. But my opinion is I would prefer a postponement in myself. And especially when you hear the idea that it could be at Madison Square Garden. Now, I know it's not a stadium, but Madison Square Garden has so much history within wrestling, and particularly within WWE. It has held WrestleManias before, and as well, it's held some Royal Rumbles previously, so it's no stranger to some big events within WWE, and like I say, some of those big moments in WWE history, so why not try and postpone it? I mean, I believe an MSG show was cancelled on March the 22nd, so I believe that they want to honour and go back to MSG when they have the first availability to do so. Why not have it there? Because that would be fantastic, and it would mean so much to those superstars. Let's look at some of the superstars that will be missing those big moments in front of a crowd. I mean, Edge, he thought he would never get to wrestle again. He gets to wrestle at a WrestleMania, and at the moment it's to nobody. Now, I'm sure that he's probably happy to have a match no matter what, but wouldn't it be so much better if it was at Madison Square Garden? We mentioned Drew McIntyre. He's worked his butt off to get where he is, to get to that main event spot, to do that in front of a crowd. You look as well at AJ Styles. I mean, him and The Undertaker, that's a big moment in the career. I know The Undertaker perhaps is past his best, and it's almost been brought to light almost in storyline terms right now. But you look at that and say, that's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for AJ Styles there to take on The Undertaker. I'm sure every superstar would love to take on The Undertaker at a WrestleMania, and AJ Styles has that opportunity right now, and he's not going to get to perform in front of a crowd. We mentioned the matches as well that probably won't even take place now. There's probably a number that were being thought about being booked, probably not even going to happen now, and they would love to have that opportunity at a WrestleMania. Let's talk about the Hall of Fame. Let's talk about NXT TakeOver. Both shows right now are cancelled. WrestleCon is cancelled. I believe the TNA lockdown show that they were going to host, I don't even know when that was due to be, is cancelled. A lot of shows are being cancelled, and we look at within WWE standpoints, because that's what this main video is based on. The Hall of Fame is usually a couple of days before. We've got NXT TakeOver the night before. Those shows are not going to take place. Why not give them an MSG moment? And I agree that those have been cancelled for the foreseeable future, because it would be amazing for those Hall of Famers to do that in front of a crowd. I mean, all right, you could argue it's a thing you could do for one of these performance centre shows on Raw, just have the Hall of Fame instead. But I actually think that it's deserved. These guys gave their career for however many years they were performing, and it would be amazing for them to be honoured in front of the whole roster and in front of the fans that have paid to see it. I personally would be in favour of that being held off, which it has been. NXT TakeOver is the same. I mean, why do that at this particular moment? it's better just to hold off, in my opinion. I know I'm very pro postponement here. It probably sounds like a broken record on this video, but I would love the idea of it being an MSG June 7th. There is perhaps a chance that if you look around the world, I mean, some countries that were more affected by the coronavirus, that there has been some signs of improvement. Hopefully, as it waves its way through, we will start to see those signs of improvement in the next month or two within Europe and within the United States as well. We can only hope that, and we all have to stick together and hope that things will improve. But going back onto wrestling, just to finish this particular video off, as I said, WrestleMania is a spectacle. It's magical. It's the event of the year. It's the one event that seems to be it's going to be in front of nobody, and I just feel, is that really WrestleMania anymore? Is it that show that we look forward to? Is it going to be received as well? Will as many fans want to tune in? I'm sure if there are a lot of people that are wrestling fans, they will check it out regardless. But I want to remember WrestleMania as a positive, and I suppose we should turn around and say, look, it's a positive, the show is even happening. But at the same time, I just feel maybe for the fans who couldn't travel from Europe, and all those fans now that probably can't travel within the United States, I feel sorry for them, even though they probably have got refunds, and I feel sorry for the talent themselves. Hey, I do feel sorry for WWE themselves, for Vince McMahon. I can imagine, I mean, a lot of sports have cancelled a lot quicker, and WWE hasn't cancelled this show. They haven't postponed it. Vince wants this show to go ahead. He wants to give you that entertainment, and we do thank him for that. But I just, personally for me, I feel that it would be a great opportunity for everyone to stay safe, take a time out, come back when we can, and put on the best show possible in front of a stadium or in front of an arena. Madison Square Garden would be perfect. For me, I think that would be a dream scenario at this point for a WrestleMania. But what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. What do you think about WrestleMania? Is this the right move in the Performance Center? Is it the right place to do it? Kevin Owens seemed quite a fan of the idea. For him, it was a home field advantage the way it was set in a promo. I was very much a fan of the promo work on Raw. I think minus the Stone Cold segment, and not because of Stone Cold himself. I just think that the material perhaps would have worked better in front of an audience. For me, it was not something that worked in front of an empty arena. And that's just a personal opinion. But yeah, let me know your opinions anyway. Do you think the Performance Center works for it? Would you prefer some postponement still? Is that rumour even true? Time will tell with it. Things change all the time at the moment with what's going on in the world. So we will keep up to date with what is going on, and I will try and keep you up to date with the channel as well with regards to WrestleMania and regards of what is going on within the world of wrestling. But I hope you've enjoyed the video anyway. I hope I've not gone on too much, but I just wanted to give my feelings, my reaction to everything going on. And remember that the latest Ask SCW is available to watch now. Of course, some of the stuff, maybe the first couple of questions was, some of the topics I've talked about in this video. So perhaps it's worth maybe skipping the first 10 minutes or so of the video. Yeah, from there on, I like to think it's a good listen and definitely worth checking out. And yeah, you can get your questions in. Just leave the hashtag AskSCW, wrestling related, of course, and I'll make sure to answer it in the next video. But that's all from me anyway. I'll see you next time here on YouTube.com. Please like, share, and subscribe.